Custom attributes can be created when the built-in validation attributes don't provide the type of validation we need. These can be created for properties inside of your class, but we're going to go one step beyond that. We're going to build one for class-level validation. A likewise approach can be used for property-level validation if needed. So let's add a new folder. We'll name it Validation Attributes. And let's add a new class to it. We'll name it Course Title Must Be Different from Description Attribute. To enable this attribute to take part in the automated validation process, it should derive from Validation Attribute. That's defined in system.componentModel.data annotations. So let's import that namespace. Now let me clean this up a bit. There we go. You can now override constructors if needed that pass through an error message to the underlying class, but we're mostly interested in overriding the isValid method. We're going to use the validation context, so the one we want to override is the one that gets us access to it. The object we get passed in is the object to validate, our course, for example. And here's our validation context again. This time we will use it. We can use it to access the actual object we are validating. First, we try and cast the object instance to a course for manipulation DTO. To check for that, we need to add a using statement, so let's do that. If the cast fails, we throw an exception. If the cast was successful, we code our rule. We check whether the title matches the description, and if it does, we return a new validation result, much like what we did before. If the title isn't the same as the description, we can state that validation for this rule was successful by returning validation_result.success. Let's save this, because this is already it for the attribute. Let's open the course for manipulation DTO and apply it. First, let me comment out that validate method from the previous demo. We no longer need that because this validation rule will now be checked by our attribute. So we apply the attribute at class level. We do need to import the course library.api.validation attributes namespace for this to resolve. Alright, let's save this and let's build and run this. Alright, we've got our request lined up here from the previous demo. Let's send this one again. We get the exact same result as we previously got, which means that the rule from our custom attribute wasn't checked because the property level validation failed. Then let's send that other request we previously sent. And this time we do see the effect of our custom attribute. So this is exactly the same result as we had with our iValidatable object implementation. So why would you use custom attributes instead of implementing iValidatable object? Well, even though at class level the same rules still apply, at property level, custom attributes get executed before the validate method gets called. And that can come in handy for property level validation. And with that, we've dealt with post and put. Time to look into input validation with patch, as that one is a bit special.